Welcome to level 3 of color mixing. For this level, you will need a ruler, a pen or pencil, and a red, yellow, and blue chalk pastel. Chalk pastels do not have any wrappings on them. They look like little rectangles of color, and they are kind of messy, so they will get on your hands a little bit, but they will wash off. Do not worry. At this time, please take your ruler and set up a new page in your sketchbook, just like we did with the colored pencils and just like we did with the oil pastels. If you need to pause the video, please do so now. After you have set up your page, please take the time to label your page. As we did with the colored pencils and the oil pastels, your first box needs to be light, your second box needs to be labeled heavy. You need a texture box, a smudge box, and your color wheel needs to be labeled with primary and secondary labels. Please pause the video now if you need to. Otherwise, you are going to choose two colors of your red, yellow, and blue to begin with for our top portion. I am going to use my red and my blue. Just as we did before, we're going to start up here in the light pressure box, which means that I am not pushing down very hard with my chalk pastels as I go. You'll notice that they have a similar texture to the oil pastels when they're applied to the page, but they're pretty obviously drier than the oil pastels. Using that light pressure to fill about halfway across. Take note of where I'm holding the chalk pastel, right? I'm back at the back end of it, so I'm not tempted to push too hard. And see all these little crummies? You can blow them away. Repeat that same process coming from the other end with my red. Going one direction, I'm not going all over the place, just up and down. Letting those two cross over one another and see what happens. We are going to repeat that same process down here for our heavy blocks, except this time I'm adjusting my hand and I am going to be pushing down. You are going to notice that there is going to be a lot more of this, the crumbs, left behind with your heavy pressure. Notice how I've kind of adjusted my hand. Now that I'm doing heavy pressure, I can't hold it like a pencil so much. So instead of wrapping my fingers around it like this, I've switched to kind of holding the top of it. So I'm holding it like this. No fingers are underneath. I'm going to blow that away. And switching to my blue. And seeing what happens when they overlap. If you are going to blow the dust away of your chalk pastel, please be mindful of those around you. Alright, we're going to move down here to our texture. Same thing, remember your texture is created through value and line quality. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do that grass like that I did for the first one, right? Because this isn't a pencil or sharp the way a oil pastel can be, your line quality is a little bit different. So if you want a really sharp line, you have to be careful to use these corners of the chalk pastel. If you want a larger line, you can use the whole side of it. I'm going to come in, I'm going to add some lighter lines now. It's like if you've ever gone to the beach, it's like dune grass texture kind of. And then I'm going to come in with my yellow, and I want really fine lines with my yellow, so I'm going to make sure that I use the corner of my pastel. Create that kind of grassy texture. Alright, next we're going to do our smudge. So I'm going to start at the top here, using about medium pressure, coming down to the bottom, switching over to my blue, bringing them up, and using a finger to see what happens when I smudge those colors. Again, very similar to the oil pastel. You can see that that texture that you get up here with your light color can get smudged away. Right, kind of a smoother transition. Alright, please pause now if you need to catch up with us. And we are going to move on to our primary colors. So, we are going to start with our red up here at the top with a medium pressure. Filling in that circle. We're also going to add our blue. Again, medium pressure. Filling in that circle. And finally our yellow. Hopefully by this point you are aware of which colors are primary and which are secondary. I am not going to harp on that too much. What I am going to do is smudge my colors here so I'm getting a nice full circle of that color. I'm not going to let it just be chalky and have that texture. Alright, moving on to my secondary colors, I'm going to take my red chalk pastel and my blue chalk pastel and I'm going to mix those together. So medium pressure, and I should get a pretty decent purple. Okay, repeat for yellow and blue. Ooh, my green needs a little more blue. There we go. It's green. And last but not least, yellow and red. And there you go. Congratulations, you should have completed level 3 of color mixing. Please go ahead and level up.